At an industrial silo, a worker moves out of sight behind a parked truck. What seems like a small puff of dust instantly becomes a catastrophic eruption. The massive powder cloud expands with terrifying speed, engulfing the entire scene as he sprints for safety. In high-risk areas, a moment's notice is all you get. Always maintain situational awareness. In a vast warehouse, two men make a critical error, cramming into a one-person forklift. The machine tips, its mast striking the racking. Instantly, a catastrophic domino effect begins, as tons of steel and product come crashing down in a terrifying wave of destruction. Never exceed a vehicle's passenger capacity. At this sorting facility, a worker stumbles and falls directly onto the moving belt. The machine instantly takes over, pulling him uncontrollably into the mechanism. He is completely at the mercy of the powerful conveyor. One wrong move from a severe outcome. This is a stark reminder. Always be aware of your footing and maintain a safe distance from active machinery. In a busy sand pit, a worker stands motionless, lost in a blind spot. A massive front-end loader moves in, scooping him up along with the earth. He's lifted high, then disappears under a crushing cascade as the entire load is dumped onto the pile. Always maintain visual contact with operators and stay out of the path of heavy machinery. A normal day in the wood shop, workers are focused on their tasks. Suddenly, a machine erupts in a blinding flash. A violent shockwave of debris and dust blasts across the workshop, instantly engulfing everything in a thick, opaque cloud. Combustible dust is an invisible threat. Always ensure proper ventilation and rigorous equipment maintenance to prevent a similar outcome. In an industrial workshop, workers observe a massive assembly. Without warning, a multi-ton section of the structure detaches and plummets. It crashes down in an instant, a catastrophic failure of support that engulfs one man. A chilling lesson. Always verify the integrity of all load-bearing components and maintain a clear escape path. In a workshop, a man adjusts material on a massive machine. He leans in, a fatal miscalculation. In a terrifying instant, the machine snags him, violently pulling him headfirst into its powerful, crushing gears. A horrific reminder: never approach operating machinery. Always perform a complete lockout-tagout before any maintenance. On this factory floor, a single touch has horrific consequences. In a violent instant, his arm is caught, his entire body pulled into the unforgiving machine. He vanishes completely, wrapped within the spinning roll as it continues to turn. A grim reminder: never interact with active machinery. Your safety depends on staying clear. High above the train yard, a worker leans over, focused on his task. He reaches out. One touch triggers a catastrophic blast of electrical energy. The brilliant flash erupts, violently hurling him from the platform into the void below. A shocking reminder that you must always confirm equipment is de-energized before any contact. Lockout-tagout procedures are non-negotiable. On a roadside recovery, a tow operator heaves the massive rig skyward. It hangs at a critical tipping point, a moment of pure tension, before the giant slams down with crushing force, the frame shuddering from the impact. A stark reminder to always stay clear of heavy recovery zones. The physics involved are incredibly unforgiving. On the factory floor, a worker is suddenly snagged by the machinery. In an instant, their body is wrapped and violently flung around the massive spinning roll at terrifying speed. A frantic race against time begins to hit the emergency stop. This is a stark reminder: always know your kill switch location. and maintain a safe distance from all moving parts. At an industrial dock, a routine move takes a bad turn. With one forceful push, the massive unit becomes dangerously unstable, tipping fast. The man leaps onto the pallets, a desperate, futile attempt to brace the immense weight. A split second from a catastrophic outcome. Always plan your move and use the right equipment for the load. At a work site, a man digs at the base of a sand pile, unaware of the grave risk. Suddenly, it gives way, burying him completely. A hand briefly breaks the surface in a desperate fight for air, only to be swallowed again by the immense pressure. Never work below an unsupported slope. The material can shift without warning. In the workshop, a man guides a lift from his truck. He ducks, but there's no escape. The suspended machinery suddenly tilts and plummets with catastrophic force, pinning him against the truck's steel railing in a fraction of a second. A devastating reminder. Always ensure your load is secure and stay out of the drop zone. At the factory, a worker empties a sack into an industrial mixer. The machine snags the bag, yanking him off his feet. A massive dust explosion erupts, consuming him as the concussive force throws others backward. The mixer churns on, a vision of mechanical horror. Always be aware of entanglement hazards and know your machine's emergency stop procedures. He runs, stumbles, and plunges into the gap at the loading dock. The reversing truck doesn't stop. Inch by inch, the massive vehicle closes in, pinning his upper body against the unforgiving concrete. Trapped and looking up in distress, he's at the machine's mercy. A terrifying reminder. Loading bays are not shortcuts. Stay aware. Stay safe. At this outdoor food stall, a routine task becomes a terrifying fight. As she feeds sugarcane into the juicer, the powerful rollers suddenly grab her hand, dragging her arm deeper into the crushing mechanism. Screams erupt as a bystander races to reverse the machine. A horrifying reminder. Always maintain extreme caution around industrial equipment. A routine walk across a cluttered factory floor turns catastrophic. One worker loses his footing, stumbling directly toward an open pit. The moment he breaks the surface, the liquid erupts in a terrifying fireball, sending a powerful shockwave across the room. This is a brutal lesson in why maintaining clear pathways near industrial hazards is absolutely essential. At a scrapyard, an operator climbs inside a metal press to inspect a load. Suddenly, the machine roars to life. A massive hydraulic ram begins its cycle, advancing with unstoppable force and compressing him with the unforgiving metal. A horrific moment. Always de-energize and lock out all machinery before entry. Your life absolutely depends on it. On this truss bridge, at night, a worker gives the final signal. A blinding yellow explosion erupts, engulfing the steel frame in a massive fireball. A shower of sparks rains down as a colossal smoke cloud instantly swallows the collapsing structure. Never underestimate the blast radius of a demolition. Always stay far behind designated safety lines to avoid flying debris. A calm city sidewalk turns into a nightmare. A woman stands frozen as a car careens off the road, exploding through the glass storefront just inches away from her. She's engulfed in a storm of flying debris, her shock turning to fury in the chaotic aftermath. A chilling reminder: always stay alert near traffic. On a factory floor, a worker makes a fateful choice, leaning in close to an active textile machine. In a horrifying instant, the massive roller snags him, violently pulling his entire body into the unforgiving mechanism. He vanishes into the machinery's relentless cycle. Always ensure equipment is completely powered down before any interaction. A moment of caution is critical.